Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug YouTube channel. We are here to discuss WWE NXT. I'm Aeron, as you know. Joining me is Jeremy Miller from Sly Fox Sports Podcasting. No time to waste. Let's get right into it. The Dusty Classic continues this week, and ultimately we saw the women progress very well in the form of Dakota Kai and her partner Raquel Gonzalez, who is very much on the rise in terms of stock in NXT. They dispatched the Robert Stone brands, Aaliyah, and the trialist for the day, Jessie Kamar. Not a bad match, to be honest. Very athletic, nice little match. Great women's division. Of course, this is the best women's division going. No idea what Dynamite was doing tonight. Don't really fucking care if I'm being honest, but I will endeavor to have a look at that. And if I feel like there's anything worth talking about, we'll cover that too. Jeremy Miller, thoughts on Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai advancing and what you saw from Jessie and Aaliyah as well?
Jessie looked really good in her, because she's not normally on TV, so this was her like breakout moment, and she looked really good. Did really well with Raquel and with Dakota, but you could just see that Raquel Gonzalez was just dominant, and she is truly the new lead big woman in NXT.
Yeah, she'll replace Rhea Ripley, I imagine, when Rhea Ripley goes up. She's just perfect in her role. What a specimen as well. And Dakota Kai really works beautifully as well as this kind of like nippy, sort of almost manager-esque, very similar in a lot of ways to Candice and Indy Hartwell. Be interesting to see whether they do run into each other later down the line in the Women's Classic. What's very interesting, of course, is the fact that now this team of Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai faces the real surprise outfit of Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. So I'm expecting real fireworks to be going off in that match. But ultimately, I'm going to stick with the heels. Like I say, always my blood pressure can't handle the idea of Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez as a team. And then you throw in Aaliyah, who for me is so stunning in every sense, and also feels very much like she could be the evolution of Carmella or a Sasha Banks. She's got so many tools at her disposal. Like to hear what she can do promo-wise and entertainment-wise. On the men's side of things, my boys, GYV, Dunn, Kushida, and Leon Ruff in classic GYV fashion. Arguably, well, for my money, the best wrestling match of the night by some margin. I think GYV, their fluidity and their transitional abilities as wrestlers is astonishing. And I don't think... me and Steve Neal actually had conversations about this way back when on podcasts about, do we think that Zack Gibson would fit well in the NXT mod? Because he's, very heavily Scouse accent, Beth Phoenix taking shots in it. I love how Wade Barrett's on commentary to help balance that as well. Wade Barrett was fantastic on comms tonight, particularly when it came to British wrestlers, calling Danny Burch the governor, which is his gimmick name when he was on the British Indies, really hyping up the fact that, he loved... Zack Gibson's accent, obviously being Liverpudlian. Obviously, he's from Preston. He'll know all about being a tough, grizzled northerner himself. And I thought this match was fantastic. Kushida and James Drake, their transitional wrestling was brilliant. I know you're not a big fan of GYV. What did you see here? Did you see anything that made you feel differently?
I have no problems with GYV. I don't want to see them in the finals of the Dusty Cup. I would... like
on the
to
spot
see,
then, mate. On the spot. Who do you want?
I would like to.
Who should win this then?
I think MSK.
No. And I'm a huge fan of the Rascals, but nobody goes past GYV as far as I'm concerned. Although GYV has a mountain to climb, obviously, because their next match will be quite the match. I believe they'll be facing the winner of Undisputed Era and Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. That is not a exciting prospect for anyone, particularly if it happens to be the boys from the cage. Just a quick aside as well, I imagine you probably saw this, really enjoyed that very fast, rapid backstage promo with the two, where he kind of got the chair and sat down next to him. He was like, this is now our thing, not just your thing. And I like the fact that Tommaso Ciampa was like, yeah, I respect you, but you're still a dick. Bye. And then just fucking gets up and storms off. Brilliant, actually. Really like the idea of the pairing, and they've got they've already got great chemistry. Nice to see Timothy Thatcher getting used as well. But yeah, I love this match, and I thought Zack Gibson's promo beforehand immediately gets him heat. He starts talking, and people start fucking booing. You've really got to see it over here. You know, there's I went to see them in Progress. We're going to need a bigger room, which was one of the names of the shows, and it was in front of about, I want to say, about 1,000 people in the Brixton Academy. It was their biggest show at the time. Zack Gibson comes out, starts talking. Every single person in the audience starts lobbing toilet roll at him. Hundreds and hundreds, like Japanese streamers, but for toilet roll. And he loves it. And every time he tries to talk, everyone's like, fucking boo! And he just keeps talking for naught. One of my favorite all-time lines is when, in front of 1,500 people in the Alexandria Palace, very famous hall over here for a Progress show, he comes out and he gets on the mic and he says, I would love to see the size of the bandwagon that brought all you cunts to this arena. He is world class. World class. Lights out. Great match as well. It's tag team season, isn't it? And I'll tell you what, for me, WWE NXT is really showing just how fucking shit AEW's tag team division is, because I've seen a lot of AEW fans who obviously are so desperate to defend themselves, and they're saying, yeah, well, most of your tag teams need to be cobbled together. It's like, I'm pretty sure your last tag team champions were 2 singles guys. Shut the fuck up. The hypocrisy of it is hilarious. But the quality of matches here is so much better. None more so than the main event, actually. I wanted to talk about this and really get into it because Finn Balor is starting to all of a sudden become a wrestler I like. Scary thought after all these years.
Wait, I'm sorry. Take that back. You said what?
You take that back. It's becoming so alarming, but all of a sudden he's gone back to NXT. He's in the right kind of environment, smaller environment, you know, bigger fish in a little pond, so to speak. And I think he's come back at the right time because they've tried to keep NXT's identity, but add a little bit more sports entertainment, haven't they? Ever since it went to USA, they've tried to make it a little bit more lively. And Finn Balor obviously has this great little budding broman / I hate you rivalry going on with Kyle O'Reilly. They tagged up to take on the NXT Tag Team Champions, Danny Burch, Oney Lorcan, again, Wade Barrett. I'm British, Wade Barrett's British, Zack Gibson's British, Danny Burch is British. We're having a good time. And he was just so fucking vehemently behind Martin Stone. And what surprised me about this match was actually how quickly it went from, you know, Burch and Lorcan being in control to boom, tap out. And I love that because it felt more realistic. I like a bit of reality sometimes in my wrestling. This was a really, really good example of that. As far as this as a tag team and as far as Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor, what are you making of all of this? Does this excite you as a main event prospect? Because as far as I'm concerned, the idea of Pete Dunne and Finn Balor wrestling each other on a takeover is going to be lights out. That's just money waiting to be made.
I see this happening at the February takeover between Balor and Dunne, but I feel like it's going to get fucked by Karrion Kross, and then at the WrestleMania takeover, we're going to get Kross versus Dunne versus Balor in a triple threat match. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too,
what
man.
Do we think about?
Oh my God.
Obviously, Kross probably not going to interject himself just yet because he's left a calling card for a very unfortunate Mexican. Santos Escobar is one of my favorites. Now, for some reason or another, his match with Kurt Stallion didn't go ahead, and the calling card was left. Now, for those of us paying attention, obviously Santos Escobar kind of name dropped Killer Kross, didn't he? Karrion Kross in his promo a couple of weeks ago, saying like, oh, you know, some people can't handle the burden of being champions. Regal's I've never seen Regal more furious. He comes storming into the locker room. He's like, "War games!" Like just screaming at him, like, "Oh!" Like he proper shit up the other two as well, especially Raul Mendoza. He looked like he actually shit his pants, which I've always quite funny. He was like, "Please don't kill me, William." And William Regal realizing just how big a guy he is with these cruiserweights, like he was huge. And obviously he finds the calling card. And he kind of shrugs it off, but you think, Karrion Kross versus Santos Escobar lining up. Not sure how I feel about that because obviously it's a cruiserweight champion versus Karrion Kross, who's a fucking monster. So you got to think, what, are they going to have 3-on-1? In which case, that's going to make Legado del Fantasma look like a bunch of bitches because ultimately Karrion Kross is going to murder them. He's undefeated. He's clearly not going to fucking...
Unless Killer Kross has... Karrion Kross has a proxy.
Well,
maybe somebody
who can step in a cruiserweight. I
Yeah.
don't really like that idea just because I think that him and Scarlett Bordeaux should really stay as a pairing and that should be it. I think what makes it such a dark and cool entity, and also, we saw Scarlett Bordeaux backstage with the cards again. I really like that. They're very short segments. The Tommaso Ciampa thing, the Johnny Gargano promo where he says, "Don't mention Kushida's name," and Austin Theory is just a complete goof at this point, but I find him quite funny actually and entertaining in this role. Did you notice how all of these little promos are really snappy and succinct, but look professional? Even the Imperials,
absolutely,
as well. Not fucking around, not faffing around. So many of these shows, they're like standing there for 2 or 3 minutes. And you think, just get to the fucking point. And these got to the point and told you everything you needed to know without fucking. And also, they're shot beautifully because they got the WWE, they got that WWE rub on them. And if there's one thing you cannot argue with, WWE presents the best TV packages in the fucking business. I present to you WrestleMania 17 my way. I also present to you, I believe it's WrestleMania 25 or 26, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, and many, many others. There's been some magnificent video packages.
Triple H and The Undertaker.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the WWE Network and look at all the great work they do with the Chronicles series.
Absolutely.
It's there for a reason. But yeah, looks like a great. Again, it's just a great NXT. Even the little things. Bronson Reed versus Swerve for me was a real undercard banger. They knocked 7 fucking bells of shit out of each other. I also kind of liked, I'm not sure if it was meant to be or not, so it's just me solely theorizing or interpreting what I saw. When Swerve was backstage with Mackenzie, who, by the way, is also ridiculous. Jesus Christ, where are they finding these women?
Vic Joseph is a lucky man.
What? Is that Vic Joseph's missus? Oh, you're fucking unbelievable. As if you ain't got it good enough on commentary of the best show of the week. I hate you, Vic Joseph, so much. I hate you even more now. Fair play to you, sir. Well done.
And of course, that's Johnny Gargano's best friend too.
Yes, that obviously will help tremendously. He's doing well, isn't he? He's doing
very well.
Yeah, so share some of the fucking wealth, bro. But yeah, ultimately, one thing that really fascinated me was the fact that he kind of did the whole pointing thing, didn't he? And when she pointed at him, he said, "How many fingers are pointing at you?" And I didn't know whether that was a reference to the political climate and everything that was going on, maybe the color of his skin. That's me purely spitballing, so don't come after me, Britain, first, because I know you get very touchy about these sort of things. But fuck you guys. But ultimately, it's just war at this point, is what it is. If I die in the next couple of years, you know exactly where I've gone. Just have a look in somebody's fucking back garden of Britain first, and you'll find me.
I will go to Millwall and I will find you.
Avenge me, Miller. Avenge my death from the white supremacists of Britain. Yeah, no, I found that interesting, but most importantly, I think Swerve, from an athletic standpoint, is incredible, and I think Bronson Reed has got megastar written all over him, and that splash he gave him in the end was seismic, mate. I honestly felt Godzilla awaken. I was like, Godzilla's sitting there, He's like, what? Another kaiju?
Tsunami!
Oh, tsunami! Okay, yeah, we'll save the racist accents for Io Shirai in a moment, but ultimately, I really loved this match, and this was a great undercard match, and it was also alongside the Diamond in the Rust. Malcolm Bivens is fucking amazing, by the way, and anyone slagging off Malcolm Bivens on social media can suck my dick, mate. Stokely Hathaway will destroy you verbally. He's one of the best characters. More of him, please. He needs to be on screen a lot more. Why is Robert Stone getting all this TV time? Malcolm Bivens ain't. Robert Stone out of the way. Get Malcolm Bivens in.
Malcolm Bivens had his shot with Indus Sher, and that went to hell.
I honestly don't understand that because we just saw Indus Sher on the Superstar Spectacle and they really had a great account for themselves. So put that back together and see what you can do. But Malcolm Bivens, he's now with Tyler Rust, who dispatched some goober in pink. Didn't even bother to remember the guy's name. Don't care. What do you think of Tyler Rust? He jumped out to a lot of people. He's got a great build. I almost mistook him, for Kurt Stallion for a moment. Very similar guys. Wouldn't be surprised if we seen him as a tag team later down the line. But yeah, your thoughts on Tyler Rust and also his pairing with Malcolm Bivens?
I like Tyler Rust. He's a very big guy, but he's a very agile guy, and he's very technical. His finisher is devastating. That submission where he grabs you by the arm, then he puts it behind you, then he takes his leg and fucking just, oh my God, it's just evil looking.
Yeah, very much like the old muffler stretch. It's got a little bit of a feel about it. The Brock lock as well. Just a great wrestler, actually. Really good look. And having Malcolm Bivens with him will hide, of course, the fact that he may not necessarily be the best talker. Although, from what I can tell, he's definitely got some chops on him because we saw him backstage. Finally, the women's division, obviously. The tag team stuff was fantastic. MSK booting out Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, who I do kind of love. There's a soft spot in my heart for those two boys because they're just very funny together. MSK keep moving on, and obviously they're going to have a very interesting clash later down the line because I believe they're going to be facing the winners of Lucha House Party or Legado del Fantasma. So look out for that match, and obviously a great showing from them. But on the women's side of things, something that really jumped out at me was the fact that we kind of got this triple threat scenario going on. It's Toni Storm, it's Io Shirai, it's Mercedes Martinez. Mwah! Like, it's just masterful.
Give me what I want.
That is how you book women's wrestling, Tony Khan, you disheveled little gibbon. Fucking annoying little wank pheasant that he is. Just feels big time. Really big time. You know, it's almost on a par with what Sasha Banks is doing. It's almost on a par with Charlotte Flair, actually. It feels heavyweight. It feels like it's got a lot of marquee value, a pay-per-view value. Who you got coming out of this rivalry? Do we see a new women's champion by the time TakeOver is over and done with?
I think we see a new women's champion.
Storm or Martinez?
I'm thinking Martinez more than Storm.
Storm.
I think Mercedes Martinez, she was originally supposed to be part of the Retribution angle. Thank God she wasn't.
Well, she was on it for a couple of weeks, and then she just disappeared.
she said, "I don't want."
Much like them, she disappeared from TV for a while.
Right. So then she came back to NXT, and now I would rather see her running the women's division than Toni Storm, because eventually we are going to get Mercedes Martinez versus Raquel Gonzalez for the title. And thank you very much. That would be the coup de grace.
Yeah. What do I keep talking about? The Latin identity of NXT and wrestling as a whole. You know, you got Raquel Gonzalez, you got Legado del Fantasma, you got Lucha House Party, who I actually think are fantastic coming down from the main roster. I think they fit this area far better. And obviously Mercedes Martinez and numerous other people on this product who can claim to have had some sort of Latin heritage, if not, you know, substantial. And it really does make for a fantastic, diverse flavor of wrestling. And that's what I love about it. You know, NXT, the cultural choice. That's kind of how it feels. You know, I feel like a bit of a connoisseur of international affairs when I watch NXT, as opposed to watching all the flippy Californian douchebags on the other side. Where it's just like, one's a weed party and one is obviously one for tapas. Ultimately, NXT is the classy gentleman's choice. But yeah, I just thought NXT was great, man. Everything that they do, even when it's not amazing, it still feels professional and it feels polished and it feels like it belongs on the screen. And you can't always say that. The reason I keep bringing up AEW isn't because I hate it. It's because that's the natural comparison. That's all anyone wants to do is say it's NXT or it's Dynamite. Well, I'm watching NXT. I watch Dynamite. And there's such a different feel. And that's a good thing because you want a different product, regardless of what you watch. But when one is really carny and hokey in places and just a bit stupid, and then you've got this, which feels like this incredible, highly polished underground fight club with the best women's division in the world. I'm sorry, anyone at this point, I'm going to use this word, I don't use it liberally. You are fucking retarded if you think that this is not the best women's division in the world. If you think that, if you think Dynamite especially has a better women's division than NXT, quite literally, you need a CAT scan and get the fuck out of my face, because that is an appalling opinion. Jeremy, your closing thoughts on NXT, mate? Anything that you wanted to touch on before we wrap it up?
Great show. Looking forward to these next matches in the Dusty Cup.
Yeah, next week's
and just looking forward to the Dusty Cup altogether. That's one of the big things with NXT, is that they do this Dusty Cup to, you know, remember Dusty Rhodes, who was the original founder of NXT, and how much it probably chaps Cody Rhodes' ass right now.
Oh, Oh yeah, no question, no question. Like it's obviously it's a little bit of both. I find it really funny as well because there's so many AEW fans who are like, oh, fucking Dusty Classic shit, and there's all these terrible tag teams that have just been cobbled together last minute. It's like, dude, you don't even use 3 or 4 of your best tag teams, period. So just be quiet, you know? Like, come on. Like,
Let's just bring the Lucha Brothers and Proud and Powerful over to NXT. Let them go over against MSK or GYV or I'm done.
MSK are the finest example of what I mean by AEW versus WWE in terms of. So they had an option, you know, the Rascals. They could have gone to one or the other, and they are intelligent businessmen. And they saw that AEW had absolutely no fucking clue how to put their tag team division. Come on, you had the Young Bucks versus FTR, which should have been humongous, and they gave them like what 3 weeks build, and they saw that and thought we're going to come here, and all of a sudden they look prominent. People are talking about them. They're exciting. They've been repackaged well. They're still allowed to maintain their identity in the ring. I'm not saying they wouldn't in AEW, to be fair. That's one thing AEW does do very well, is allow wrestlers to maintain their identity and their names, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad, because, you know, I can do without Wesley. But Nash Carter, not so bad. Wesley, terrible. But overall, I just much prefer this. I say this every week. It's the quality of the product. It really is. But I also want to know what you guys think as well. It's not just about what we think. If you like NXT, if you watched NXT, let me know in the comments below what you thought. And if you prefer AEW Dynamite, instead of just yelling about it, tell us why you like it. Give me an informed debate, an argument as to what you think AEW does better and what NXT does better, because you can't tell me that one does everything better than the other. Even I'm not stupid enough to tell you that. But ultimately, if you're going to ask me, do I want to watch 61-year-old Sting and a suspiciously pansexual emo fucking son waffle around in the ring for 2 minutes, or do I want to watch MSK and a banger every fucking week? I've kind of made my choice at this point, but I look forward to seeing what Dynamite has done, because, you know, the only image I've seen of Dynamite is a image of a dinosaur being handcuffed to the ropes.
Have you seen the image of Brody Lee Jr. yelling at Excalibur to shut the hell up, and Taz busting out laughing?
No, but I obviously will pay attention to that, because that's very much worthy of it. But it also speaks volumes that an 8-year-old is better on commentary than half the guys in their company, isn't it, really? But yeah, like I say, guys, let me know what you think. From myself, Aeron, and from Jeremy Miller, thank you very much for joining us, Jeremy. Make sure you check out Jeremy's podcast as well, Sly Fox Sports Podcast. If you're a sports fan, you'll be able to see me. And ultimately, what else do you want, really? And also, Jeremy's got some opinions too, but we don't care about those. But this is the Wrestle plug. I'm in charge. So ultimately, let me know what you think, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Make sure you turn on notifications. We're getting very close to 200 subscribers, which means it's giveaway time. So as soon as we hit that mark, pay attention, because we're going to be giving away delicious merch. From myself, Aeron, and from Jeremy Miller, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Plug YouTube channel.